Everyone. We can just start with calling the meeting to order. Do I have a motion?
We don't need a motion.
Oh, we just started.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. We can move on to roll call.
And then roll call.
Sure. Commissioner Campisi?
Here.
Commissioner Chabot?
Here.
Commissioner Cho?
Here.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Wong is here.
Yes.
Commissioner Oskan?
Here.
Commissioner Sorgan?
Here.
Commissioner Tagvoy?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss is here. Vice Chair Ramcharan?
Here.
Okay, I just want to note the absences of Commissioners Mao, Quinn, and I think that's it, correct? Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay, so, but we do have a quorum, so if we can go ahead and get forward.
Okay, and we'll start with salute to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item D is approve the order of agenda. Do I have to get a motion for that?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion passes. And then are there any blue folder items?
Sorry, Vice Chair, we do need to take a vote on that. So
Oh,
if we
sorry.
can just make sure, that's okay. So just all in favor, or all, and then all opposed.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then item E is blue folder items.
We don't have any this evening.
Okay. And then moving on to F, the consent calendar.
Yeah, for this item, we have two on our consent calendar. Unless a commissioner would like to pull one of these items to discuss specifically, we can do a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar.
Do I hear a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar?
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then F1 is the affidavit of posting.
Yes, we just, F1 and F2 are both part of the consent calendar.
Oh,
So we can
sorry.
actually move on to item H because we didn't pull any for item G.
Okay. So public participation on non-agenda items. So is there any comment from the public?
We don't have anyone online. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak? Okay, so we can close public comment.
Okay. And then do I move on to I?
Yes, we have none this evening.
Okay. And then J, items for discussion prior to action.
So thank you, Vice Chair. I'll go ahead and get this item started. We're going to have a presentation this evening from our Public Works Department. If you remember at last month's meeting, we had a presentation from our police department on e-bike safety and use throughout the city. And the commission requested some additional information on the city's use and implementation of bike lanes. And so we have here tonight from our Public Works Department is going to be here speaking specifically on this topic. So I'll turn it over to Ryan to introduce himself and go into the presentation.
Hey, good evening, Commission. Ryan Liu, City Traffic Engineer. If I could have my slides. So this presentation is all about bicycle lanes in the city of Redondo Beach. We'll go over the background, some pros and cons, process for getting bike lanes installed, evaluated, and some of the challenges that we face. Next slide, please. So just who am I? My name's Ryan Liu, over on the left. I'm within the Public Works Department. So Public Works is responsible for all of our public space in the city, anything that's not private property. Generally, we have our different divisions here. So building occupancy, that's maintaining City Hall and other civic structures. Our fleet maintains all our trucks and police cars, fire engines, sewer and storm drain. That's make sure all the toilets flush and all of our drains are working properly. Solid waste manages our trash pickup. We have a team that manages the harbor and the pier, parks maintenance, street maintenance, and last, which is where I sit, is in engineering services. So we have a team of engineers that manages lots of projects, whether it's maintenance, operations, or new capital projects. So for me as the city traffic engineer, I'm responsible for the maintenance of our streets, signs, striping, and traffic signals, parking, traffic safety, and traffic studies. So when there's new projects, I make sure that if a traffic study is required or the location of their driveway meets current standards. We respond to all resident requests. So anyone, member of the public, can reach out to us. We'll have with questions, we'll have answers for them. And I work on street projects as well. Next slide, please. The general process for requests is, we as city staff, we receive a request from the public or from an elected official or from our Public Works, Safety and Sustainability Commission. Sometimes we get requests from other staff and other departments. So then once we get that request, we'll review based on certain policies that the City Council has implemented, state and federal laws. We'll provide next steps and any recommendations. Sometimes some resident requests can be handled very quickly within our department. Sometimes it requires approvals or at least looping in the council member. So sometimes we'll go to our Public Works Commission, we'll bring a recommendation and analysis, findings, and have them weigh in on the proposed changes, whether it be speed bumps, stop signs, bike lanes, and then ultimately, generally, the City Council will consider and give us the approval or denial of the recommendation. And from there, we go forward to finding money to build these things, or installing a stop sign. That's pretty easy. We will proceed with that approval after that. So it goes through the request, analysis, and approval process. That's how things get built in this city. Next slide, please. So just some terminology on bicycle facilities. In the state of California, we define bicycle facilities as class 1, 2, 3, and 4. So starting from the top right, a class 1 shared use or bicycle pedestrian path, that's where it's a pretty wide stretch of street that's separated from the main road, where cyclists get their own space and people who are walking get their own space. The beach bike path is a good example of that, where we have 2 lanes just for the cyclists and then a space to the side for people to walk. Moving on to the left is a class 2 bike lane. Those are the most common types of dedicated bike lanes we have in the city. So generally, the cyclists have their own space, but it's not separated. It's just separated with paint. And so Barrel Street is a good example of a class 2 bike lane. A class 2 bike lane with a buffer is an upgraded type of bike lane. When we have additional space, we will add a buffer between the bike lane and moving traffic or parked cars. So it just creates some more safety and distance and comfort for people who are biking. Manhattan Beach Boulevard is an example of a buffered bike lane that we have in the city. Down at the bottom right is a class 4 protected bike lane. These are considered, they're a little bit more modern. It's generally the gold standard for bikeways on larger streets that have higher speeds and volumes. They can either be unidirectional, like one protected bike lane on each side of the street, or it can be a bi-directional, 2-direction bikeway. So the bike path on Harbor Drive along the harbor area, that's an example of a bi-directional class 4 protected bike lane. The last class of bicycle facilities is called a class 3 bicycle route. And you'll note that you'll see that triangular shaped chevrons with the bicycle symbol on it. That's called a sharrow, and it just lets cyclists know that this is a suitable route for cyclists to take. It also informs drivers that cyclists do have the right to take the full lane. In the state of California, they are treated as roadway vehicles. While these are not bicycle lanes, these are usually suited for slower speed residential streets. We're not allowed to place these on streets that have speed limits of 35 miles per hour or higher. So Ringe Lane, Felton, those are good examples where we have placed those types of sharrows to help cyclists with wayfinding and finding suitable routes to get to their destinations. Next slide. So generally, this is like the safety comparison between the different classes of bicycle facilities. If you're on a major street, that figure on the bottom, a class 3 bicycle route might not be appropriate or it's not considered as safe as a Class 2 bike lane, a Class 4 protected bike lane, or a Class 1 off-street path. Generally, as you go from 3 to 4 to 1, there's more safety, more comfort, and you can imagine, most of the public feels more safe on the beach bike path than on a bicycle lane on a busy street. Different classes are appropriate for different streets. If we're a small residential street, you might not need to have a dedicated bicycle lane because the drivers are not going that fast. One of the approaches that we take is the safe system approach. This is a newer type of guidance from the federal government that talks about how we design streets to be safer, not just safer road design, but also making sure that our vehicles have active safety features. There's good response times when collisions do happen. So there's a whole all-encompassing approach that a lot of agencies are taking nowadays to improve roadway safety. Next slide, please. So why bicycle lanes? This is a list of all the benefits of bicycle lanes. These bicycle lanes improve safety for all roadway users, not just cyclists, but also drivers who, when you provide dedicated space for cyclists, then drivers don't have to worry about, mixing with cyclists. It achieves all of our sustainability goals, lowering emissions, reduces congestion and parking demand. So I'm sure some of you take that bike trip down to RUHS. It's only a one-way trip to go to school versus a parent having to drive to school and then back, so it saves a trip. Bicycle lanes are a more efficient use of public space. You can move more people in that amount of space than in a vehicle because a bicycle is just smaller. And so that also results in lower long-term roadway costs. Bicycles are a lot lighter than cars, so the impact that today's large SUVs have on our pavement results in the pavement wearing away faster, whereas bicycles have much lower impact on our roadways. We all know that cycling is great for health, mental, physical, and social, increases mobility and freedom, especially for people who don't drive, so people who aren't yet old enough to drive or don't feel comfortable driving, or perhaps aging out of driving, people who are getting a little older and not so comfortable behind the wheel. Bicycles are a great way to maintain or increase that mobility and freedom. And lastly, bicycle lanes are usually pretty good for businesses. I think I've seen a lot of students after school, talk about where do you want to go eat after school, whether it's Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, and they will take their bikes there. And sometimes that's not really possible when you're driven to school and you don't have that bike available to you. You don't get to, go with your friends to that restaurant and then go home. That bicycle provides a lot of freedom. Next slide, please. So, they're great, bicycle lanes are great, but why aren't they everywhere? Why don't we put them everywhere if they're so great? We have a lot of constraints in our roadway space. Redondo Beach is a pretty old city. We have limited widths on our streets. We have lots of driveways, lots of competing needs and engineering challenges. So oftentimes what it takes to put a bicycle lane on a major street may require removing car parking or lanes for automobile traffic. Usually sometimes that can result in local opposition. So that's the balance that we try to strike. And oftentimes these projects, as they're going through the approval process, we do have to make difficult decisions on, do we want to keep street parking for residents, or do we want to provide a safer place for cyclists to bike in? So projects like these can be costly if we have to widen the road, move curb and gutter. Nobody wants to lose their home for a roadway widening, but sometimes that's what's required to install more street infrastructure. It also requires moving ramps, changing signals if we have to widen the road. So sometimes bicycle lanes can be very costly to build. And so there's a lot of study that goes into it. And also, not every street requires dedicated bicycle lanes. A lot of our streets in the northern neighborhoods, like Marshall Field, Ringe, Felton, Slauson, they're pretty tiny streets with stop signs on almost every block. Streets like that, most people are going below 25 miles per hour, almost at the speed of a bike. So streets like those generally do not require bicycle lanes. This graphic on the bottom shows a typical street that has 2 lanes in each direction. Within that space, you can actually fit 1 lane in each direction with a center turn lane for making left turns and bicycle lanes on the side. Not every street can make this type of transition from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. It can be quite controversial, but it just shows what can be done in the space that's given. Next slide. So we have some guiding documents that help us plan and construct where bike lanes generally should go. The maps on the bottom are the South Bay Bicycle Master Plan. It was adopted in 2011. These dashed lines show, at that time, the proposed bicycle lanes. The color is the type of bicycle route lane or lane that is proposed to be built. So you note that Manhattan Beach Boulevard was a dashed line back in 2011. We built those bike lanes, so we can call that as complete. So we are currently making progress on that bike plan. When we repave streets, that's our opportunity to rethink how we want that street to look like. That's our chance to repaint the street, perhaps add those bicycle lanes if there is space for that, engage with the community and see what can work. And so these two maps show the northern and southern halves of the city of our bike plan. Next slide. The other guiding document is a bit of a newer concept to us. It's called the South Bay City's Local Travel Network. So this isn't specifically bicycle lanes, but this is a routing and wayfinding system using current streets that help all types of mobility devices. So whether it's golf carts, which we do see sometimes around here, e-bikes, scooters, skateboards. This is a network of routes generally on lower speed residential streets that you can get all around Redondo using these streets. And I'm sure a lot of you, as you bike around town, these are probably the streets you use because you know that when you're crossing a major street, you're gonna get a traffic signal or a stop sign. So like Ringe going north and south, Ripley, Flagler, Barrel, Esplanade, these are the routes that we've designated, and we're gonna put up wayfinding signs to help cyclists, to various destinations, how long it's the distances to those destinations, so that way they don't get stuck and find themselves having to turn onto like PCH or 190th Street. And these are generally flatter routes as well. So this is a system that we'll be implementing with wayfinding signs. And once we install that wayfinding sign network, we'll be trying to improve the detection at the signals so that cyclists can be recognized at those signals and the signals will turn just like how they do for cars. Next slide. So this is the current progress that we've made on our bike plan. So since 2011, that bike plan identified about 26 miles of dedicated bike lanes to be built. At this time, we've built 44% of that network. So that's pretty good progress compared to other cities. We have a further 8% of this network in design and 2% in planning. So we'll hopefully get that 44% up another 10%. We also have an additional 12% of the network that was considered at one time, I think this was back in 2018, Prospect, to add bicycle lanes to Prospect. But I think at that time, the community was not in support of that because it would require taking some parking or lanes away. So that is a portion of the bike network that is we kind of shelved at this time. But we're working on other streets in the city. So the picture to the left shows Manhattan Beach Boulevard with the new bike lanes that we created. That's the buffered bike lane. And the map on the right is the Metro Active Transportation corridor that we're starting design right now. It's a bike corridor that goes on 190th Street, up Lilienthal, Ripley, and then goes northeast towards Artesia and Redondo Beach Boulevard all the way to El Camino College. So what we're trying to provide is a bike corridor that links the middle and northern half of the city to the South Bay Galleria, the future K-Line station, and the El Camino College as well. Next slide. So this is a lot of data, but the top chart is bicycle counts from 2024. The bottom table is 2025 bicycle counts. So we took bicycle counts in our northern neighborhoods, really trying to capture the number of cyclists who are traveling from the northern part of the cities all the way to Redondo Union High School. So as you can see here, we took counts at various critical points where we've seen a lot of cycling activity. So specifically at that Flagler Alley near Diamond Street and Diamond and Prospect, we've seen the number of bikes in one day go from 370 in one day to 494 in one day. So in this past year, we've seen a big increase in cycling, not just on that street, but also other streets, as you see in this comparison. One interesting thing to note is Manhattan Beach Boulevard, that last line there. In 2024, we didn't have a bicycle lane there. And we had about 93 cyclists use that street every day. 30% of those cyclists were riding on the sidewalk. When we took those counts in 2025 last year, that count went up a bit, but only 8% of those cyclists were on the sidewalk. So this shows that when you provide that space for cyclists, they they will use that space and not, ride in conflict with drivers or with pedestrians. So we consider that a big success. This is an upcoming project on Diamond Street around Redondo Union High School. I believe a couple members of this commission participated in the outreach for this project. We conducted public meetings and stakeholder sessions to determine what can we do to make Diamond Street a little bit safer, a little bit more inviting and logical to navigate. We've seen the busyness during the school pickup and drop-off periods, so we're going to try to design some protected bike lanes on Diamond, separating the bikes from the cars wherever we can. We're trying to do that without removing too much parking. We're thinking about moving one bus stop and adding curb extensions at Juanita and Del Amo to improve the walking experience as you're trying to cross the street on foot. We're also trying to integrate this project with the school district, where they're going to put an additional pickup drop-off on Francisco. We don't know what that design looks like right now, but we do have, this is our future plan for Diamond Street to make that cycling experience safer for everybody. Next slide. This is a close-up of what we're proposing to do right at Seahawk Way. We have enough space to put a specific left turn lane for the cyclists so that they don't have to mix in with the cars, and some dedicated bike space right at the Seahawk driveway so that they can more easily go into the bike cages and the bike parking. And hopefully this helps organize the traffic a little bit better. Next slide. This is showing our repaving of Grant Avenue. So if anyone lives in that area, goes around that area, we've repaved 2 blocks of Grant Avenue. That's all the money we have right now for this project. But as a part of this repaving project, we're narrowing the car lanes to slow down the drivers a bit. And we're giving that extra space to put a buffer between the cyclists and the parked cars. So one of the downsides of a class 2 bike lane is when you're riding in that bike lane, you're next to parked cars, you're not sure if someone's gonna open their door, and that's a crash that many people can't avoid. So by adding this buffer next to the car doors, if a car door opens, it opens in a path where a cyclist won't be riding. And so increasing that distance will help the safety and slow down vehicle traffic as well. So once we repave these 2 blocks, it's gonna look a bit like what I'm showing on the screen. And as we repave Grant, the bike lanes will get upgraded to this standard. I think that's my last slide. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your presentation and the work you've been doing. We really appreciate it. I have a couple questions, but just before I start, does anyone else have any questions they want to get on? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I remember when you brought up earlier in your presentation about the bike lane on the Strand. Sorry, you brought up the Strand. What did you classify the Strand as, like a class 1? Like, which classification was that?
Class 1. So a class 1 is a shared use bicycle and pedestrian path that is totally separate from the street. So the Strand would be considered that type of path, not on Harbor Drive, but the one that's along the sand, because it's totally separate from the street.
Got it. Thank you.
I was just wondering, what do you think, like, us as a youth commission, what can we do to, like, help you guys? Because I saw you had a plan specifically about Redondo Union and, like, on Diamond Street. Is there any way that we could, like, facilitate that or give you guys anything you need?
Yeah, so the Redondo Union project on Diamond that we just started the design for, we actually went through the whole stakeholder process and public meetings already, and we got positive feedback on that. So we brought those results to the city council, and they approved the concept design. So right now, us and our consultant are preparing the construction plans for it. And so we will be coming back to the city council once those construction plans are ready. And at that time, that's at a public meeting. If you can review the proposed plans, and if you want to show support for it, that's the time to show support for it. Unless, then that's the time when the city council will approve the construction of that project. So generally, that's all of our projects go through that process. We show a concept, we get take the temperature of the community and the city council, and if they're good with it, we continue to design. And once we get to that, approved plans and specifications, that's the actual construction documents that a contractor will use. That's that final step in terms of getting a project approved. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Thanks.
I also have a question. So you said that you guys are actually making paint. You just recently painted one. I forgot the street, but you said that you guys ran out of money. What are ways you guys make money, and how are ways you guys can make more money?
Yeah, so what I was referring to was Grant Avenue. So we've heard a lot of complaints and concerns that Grant Avenue, the pavement is not in good condition. So there's potholes, and we try to patch them up, but it doesn't feel the same. So over the years, we've been saving money, and this is a decision of the city council how to allocate the dollars, the tax dollars that we get, where to spend it to. And generally, street repaving projects are pretty popular. So right now, we only raised enough money to repave 2 blocks on Grant. And we're hoping that, if we can at least take care of 2 blocks, we'll make that progress. We'll send the construction crews out there to repave the street and to upgrade those bicycle lanes. And in future years, as additional money comes in and the city council allocates that money to Grant, then that's how we can make progress on more of those blocks. So Manhattan Beach Boulevard was an example. That street used to be really rough to drive on. And our project about a year and a half ago, we repaved the entire street, the whole section between Aviation and Inglewood. So that project, we were able to do the whole street at one time. But for Grant, it's because we don't have enough money right now. I would say, the way the city receives revenue is from property taxes, sales tax, hotels, and sales and utilities. So there's, a lot of this is dependent on the larger economic forces at play. I would say it is very difficult for any one person to help raise money. But I think when it comes time to approve the city budget, every year the city has to approve a budget, the council approves it. That's when anyone can speak up and determine what their priorities are in that budget and see if there's any money that could be moved around to projects that you're in favor of. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so adding on to his question about Grant Street, so you guys mentioned in your presentation, or you mentioned in your presentation, how that project or that the budget covered that street, and it was basically widening the buffers between the parking and the bicycle lanes, and how it'll slow down drivers. So does this effectively change the speed limit for the area, or is this affect the speed limit in any way?
So in California, to avoid because we can't arbitrarily change the speed limit. So if a city does that, they might, some people might think you're setting up a speed trap, that suddenly your street turns from 40 miles per hour to 25, and a police officer sits right there and starts giving tickets when the street feels exactly the same. So in California, we have to set the speed limit to the speed that people are already going. So every 7 or 14 years, we have to measure how fast the people are going, and then that's generally where we have to set the speed limit. There's some sort of special circumstances and flexibility that we have to lower the speed limit by 5 miles per hour here and there. But the best way to lower the speed limit is to design the street in the way that we think it should operate. So, with narrowing the car lanes to 10 feet wide and adding those buffers, I wouldn't be surprised if the next time we do an update to the speed limit, we could lower it to 30 miles per hour. It remains to be seen whether we can do that or not. But we can't just do it right now. But that could be the goal, is to help improve safety by lowering the speed.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we can see if we have anyone that'd like to participate from the public. We do not have anyone else online, and no e-comments on this item. So I don't know if anyone in the audience would like to speak. Oh, if you can come up to the podium. So if you can just give us your name and then you can go.
My name is Jake Villalobos. I'm just curious about the timeline for Grant. So you say it takes a lot of time to
raise money for this. So generally, how does it look like? What from start to end? Like, what does that project look like? Is it planned out like years in advance, and then it's something you save up for a budget, or how is that like done?
So this is, what we'll do is we'll
Yeah.
get your questions and then we'll see if the commission would like to get some of them addressed.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have any other questions or comments?
No, I do not.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, is there any other public comments? Okay, so we can close the public comment. I don't know, commissioners, if you'd like to allow Ryan to answer that question, or we can move on to a motion or any other questions you may have.
Do we have to motion to allow him to?
No, you can.
Oh, yeah, I think.
Yeah, so we received that direction from the city council during the budget cycle. So the city's fiscal year starts on July 1st. And as the year goes on, we see how we're doing on our budget. And when it comes to around March, April, that's when we start discussing, what are the critical needs in the city? What do we have to allocate money towards? Are there projects that are, gone over budget? Do we need to allocate more money to that? Or are there grants that we can apply for to help address some of the projects and needs that we have in the city? So it's around that April and May and June timeframe when the city council deliberates and decides what type of projects get funded. So in the previous year's budget, the council allocated specifically, I think it was like $1 million to $2 million to start repaving Grant Avenue. And so so we received that direction in the budget, and that's how we proceeded with the work.
Can I just ask one more? What's like, I think you touched on this a little bit, but what do you think is like the biggest obstacle in like establishing more bike lanes, like either on Diamond Street or around more of the entrances to the schools? Like, would you say it's money or like the size of the roads?
Well, specific to Diamond Street, the project that we're gonna push through actually, produces some protected bike lanes. And so luckily, but Diamond is wide enough to do that without removing all the parking. I would say for other streets like Prospect, or even Marine Avenue or Aviation and Artesia, it's the trade-offs. We have a fixed width. There's only so much land that we own. And we sometimes we try to do these projects without moving the sidewalks or the curbs and the gutters, because that's when it starts getting really expensive. And so we look at the street and what it contains right now, and to put bicycle lanes on these streets oftentimes results in, well, do we take one of the lanes away or do we take away the parking? And it becomes a policy, question. What do we want to do with that space? And that's when the community can be quite divided on, a lot of cyclists, of course, want the bicycle lanes, but other people want the street parking, or they want the more lanes for the traffic. And so that's generally the biggest hurdle to building more bicycle lanes. The money can be challenging sometimes, but there are grants that we can apply for that help encourage more bicycle lanes, bus lanes even. And so we have money from LA Metro, so part of your sales tax comes back to the cities, and we can apply for projects. And generally the projects that build bicycle lanes, improve roadway safety, reduce driving, those are sort of the overarching societal goals. Projects like that tend to fare pretty well in terms of getting funding for.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no more questions or comments, we can do receive and file on the presentation. And then just before you do make whatever motion you decide to do, just know that this is like the last presentation on e-bikes. This could be a step in a series of informational items for you. So if this sparked some additional questions or some additional discussions that you'd like to have, please feel free to let us know at any point. Doesn't have to be tonight even, it could be at the next meeting. We want to make sure that you guys are, fulfilling your desire to focus on e-bikes, and by extension, it's kind of turned into a little bit of bike lanes. So with that, I'll leave it to you to make a motion to receive and file or request some additional information
And if I
at a future meeting.
add something more, any concerns or things you want to talk about, you can certainly pass it on to Kelly, who will pass it on to me. You can also reach out to me directly. We have a traffic engineering email that goes to multiple people in Public Works, trafficengineering@redondo.org.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to receive and file this?
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do we have a second presentation on J2?
Yes, so
Okay.
we do have our second presentation tonight is from our Beach Cities Transit team, and they will be here to inform you of the different programs and activities that our Beach Cities Transit has and provides for you, and specific for youth ridership. So I'm going to introduce our transit manager, Ty Gunn, and our analyst, Brian Magumsha. I always say it incorrectly. Hopefully I got it this time.
I'm a little tall. Okay, you can hear me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyron Gunn, Ty for short. I'm the new city transit manager. Been here we almost been here almost a whole year. On the 18th, it'll be a year to be a part of the city. First and foremost, I just want to congratulate you guys for actually just taking the time to care about your city as being young adults and going to the next level. This is an honor to stand in front of you and give this presentation. So please pat yourselves on the back and continue to keep up the good work. So thank you. Next slide. So our agenda, what we'll cover is what is Beach City Transit, what it represents in transit technology and feedback. And I'll pass it over for.
Thanks, Ty. So again, my name is Brian Magumsha. I'm the transit analyst for the city of Redondo Beach, Beach Cities Transit. So I'm gonna go ahead and, we could go to the next slide, kind of introduce Beach Cities Transit, because I'm not sure if all of you guys are familiar. It would be good to get our information out to the public and to you guys and kind of spread the word about us. So what are we? Beach Cities Transit is a public bus system. We serve Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, El Segundo, and part of LAX. And within our system, we actually offer two services, which I'll go into detail in the next slide. So the first one is a Wave Dial-A-Ride service. This is mainly for seniors and folks with disabilities. What it does is actually picks folks up a curb to curb and takes them to their destination, like medical offices, dental facilities, even to the grocery store. These folks would just submit an application to us. They could call in and then schedule a pickup and drop off. The next service that we have is what's called a fixed route. I think you guys might be familiar with this. We have our line 102 and our 109. Line 102 is indicated in blue, which runs from the Redondo Beach Pier to the Metro K-Line station. And it actually stops right in front of Redondo Union High School. So you guys have probably seen our bus. And then we have line 109, which goes from Riviera Village to LAX, and it cuts through Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, El Segundo, and a piece of LAX. Something that we have included in our fixed route is what we call tripper buses. So these run in the mornings and afternoon as a supplement to the fixed route. There are 3 additional buses that run 5 minutes right after each other. So up here I have a timetable of the Tuesday through Friday morning schedule. You can see it starts at 7:20 from the Redondo Beach K-Line, then 7:25, 7:30 right after. It's open to the public, but it's a supplement for the students because of capacity issues. It really helps alleviating overcrowding on the buses. Next slide. So how much does it cost to ride? General fare is $1, 50 cents for our seniors. If you're transferring from our 102 to our 109, it's free. And if you're going interagency, it's 25 cents. We accept cash, tap card, mobile tap cards. And then something I want to call out is our Beach Cities Pass. Some students might be familiar with them. It's available, it's $20, but there's a subsidy for Redondo Beach student residents and Lawndale residents, lowering it to $8 a month. And you could use it anytime on the weekends and weekdays, and you could use it on both the 102 and 109 and getting to those cool cities. Go ahead, next slide. So I really wanted to share with you guys, transit is more than just buses. We share live data on our buses. How many of you have checked Google Maps, the transit app, Apple Maps to see where your bus has come from? Cool. Have you ever wondered where that data comes from? So I'll go ahead and explain a little bit more on that. The information, let's stay on that, yeah. So the information comes from something called a GTFS feed, which stands for General Transit Feed Specification. It sounds complicated, but what it is really a digital schedule that tells the app, Google Maps, Apple Maps, Transit, where that bus is supposed to be, when and where. But buses don't always run on time exactly. Traffic, weather, road conditions. So on our buses, we also have GPS. When we combine both the GTFS and the GPS and GTFS, say that 10 times fast, we can see if the bus is on time, running early, or running late. So we track this data to understand what's really happening out on the streets, where the delays happen, where schedules don't match reality, and ultimately making service improvements. But data could only take us so far, and that's why we're standing here before you guys today. We want to hear from you.
Next slide, please. So we want to hear from you. With what's going on in the community and with transportation and things like that, we want to know exactly what is it that we can do to kind of expand our transportation, this public transportation system to you guys, that you guys can use it more frequently. Next slide, please. So how can we help work together to help more people about Ride BCT? So we want to know, based off of some of the information, you can go to the next slide. These are some of the areas, or these are some of the main areas that we have that we serve already between the line 102 and 109. So as you can see on the 109, we start at LAX at one point and it ends at the Riviera Village. And then there's different locations what can be considered like hot spots or some popular areas that you guys go to as well. The 102, service in front of your school, but also not too far away from the teen center. So I hope you guys are using that and going there. In off the Redondo Beach Pier and also the Metro K line. So what is it that out of these places that you see that's on these slides, is there any other places that we can have the bus go to service to get you guys to ride public transportation more? We know some of you guys, how many of you guys have e-bikes? Right, all right. How many of you guys use public transportation already or use BCT already? Nice. So you guys are a small population, but you represent a large group of people, right? But we want to be able to get you to your areas that you guys that might not be in these particular locations here. So we came to come hear from you. Where are some of the places that B City Transit can go that you guys can use public transportation that's not on this list?
Well, I have one, but it's in Torrance. You guys probably know what it is, Delama Mall. I think it's like the third largest mall in California, maybe the second. And yeah, I've noticed that many times I do go there. I usually take my e-bikes, but if I don't want an e-bike at that time, I do take the bus.
Thank you.
And the problem is, though, is that if I take too much time to like go and the bus is delayed or I miss the bus, the next bus takes like another 20 minutes. So at that point, I'm just like, I don't really want to go there anymore. So I feel like two problems is, like another solution is first, like having maybe a line to go to Torrance, to Delamo, if you guys have the ability to do that. And the second is maybe making extra lines or like more buses on the lines, or making the app more accessible and simple. Like, for example, my friend, he's usually the one that takes care of that. Like, he's the one that uses the app, but I don't know if he's really a trustful guy because we do get delayed a lot. And then I remember there's two stories. We had to walk an hour both times because either the bus was delayed or we missed the bus and the next one was going to take an hour 30 to come. So we just thought walking was the best option.
Well, definitely apologize for you having to walk the hour, and trust your friend. He's working with the system. But thank you for your feedback. Is there anyone else has any ideas of some places that we can have the bus deviate outside of this area that can get you to your popular areas, or some places that you would like to see that you would use public transportation?
So I know you guys have like two main buses, the small, like the van-looking bus, and then the big the big bus. Mm-hmm. And I would say a lot of these areas are, like very public areas, but for me, I normally use the bus to just simply go home. But a lot of I think the main reason why a lot of people don't use the bus is because it simply just doesn't reach those residential areas. And I know it might be out of your jurisdiction, or it might simply be too daunting task to go into residential areas. But again, for me, it would just be to extend those lines to things like, well, I know there is a line that goes to Anderson Park, but my house is, maybe like 5 or 6 blocks away from Anderson, so maybe just further into those residential areas. Yeah, because like normally when I get off is like around Artesia, but then I have to walk like maybe 20 minutes to get to my house. But yeah, I don't have an e-bike, so the bus is really the only way of transportation for me. So it would probably just be more convenient for a lot of people to just extend it to residential areas.
So more frequent than I'm a mall, more residential areas. Anyone else?
I think that the middle schools could be like a good stop for one of these bus lines, or maybe like a new bus line maybe. I just know that right now there's no like public transportation way to get to the middle schools.
Between Paris and
Adams,
right?
yeah.
All right, so then I'm a mall, more frequent, middle schools, residential areas.
Maybe work on improving the app a little bit, because sometimes it'll say like there's a bus coming and then it doesn't show up, or sometimes it'll say there's not a bus coming, there actually is a bus coming, and like the timing's off.
Yes.
Adding on to the schools, I see that you already have like lots of locations in El Segundo and Hermosa and Manhattan, and you also have the Redondo High School. So I think it would also be nice if maybe you could add like Miracosta, because maybe there are kids from like North Redondo or like neighboring cities in Hermosa who like go to Costa, and it's already like in the nearby area. So if we added a high school, maybe like more people would use it and like know about the Beach Cities Transit.
More frequent, Torrance, Maricopa, middle school, residential areas. Update the app. All right. Anyone?
I usually take the bus, so I don't really know.
Anyone else? This is great. Thank you guys.
Well, I do have something to add on.
Sir.
So another thing, like especially going to places where the lines don't actually go to, you have to take a connecting bus. And I feel like that's like the most stressful time, because if your first bus is delayed, the second bus is delayed or too early, they don't wait for you. So I feel like that's another time where there's a big gap of like mistakes, and a big gap where you could just like waste time and also just miss the bus.
Okay, definitely.
Oh, sorry. So one more thing to add on to what I was saying earlier. I did mention like big bus and small buses, but I didn't elaborate on it because I think I forgot. But what I meant by that is the small buses can be used to go into residential areas more often than the big buses, because the big buses take a lot more space. And also you might be overextending resources, just putting more of those big buses into, circulation. So, I mean, just using the small buses to get to residential areas might be a more feasible way, to get more lines out there.
Nice.
I do have one more. This one may be a stretch, but I'm just trying to think outside the box. So maybe another one is, there's a lot of like Redondo beach games, especially basketball games, football games, same for Miracosta, and they're very popular. What if we connect the two high schools together and have a line to them? So maybe if people want to watch a game from Miracosta, like Miracosta versus Redondo, they don't need to rely on a ride there. They could just use the bus. Same for Miracosta, or same for like West High, like any of those neighboring high schools or even middle schoolers. And yeah, maybe that's another idea.
Actually having a shuttle, or some, not necessarily a shuttle, but yes.
I actually have a follow-up question. I think it's Commissioner Edwards. Why don't you ride the bus?
I usually drive myself to school and back, so I have a reliable method of transportation, so I just don't really have a need to. I was only saying that because you pointed at me and I wanted to answer why I wasn't answering anything, but there's no specific reason.
As a follow-up to that, have you heard from other peers like why they wouldn't use transit?
I know actually a lot of my friends use public transit. Like there's always like a long line at the stop in Redondo. I personally walk to school, so there's not, I live really close. But I do think that the bus is pretty used by the people that I know at least. But I also have a question. I don't know if this is out there, but do you guys, I know you guys like shuttle, you have like shuttles for senior citizens for like voting and stuff like that.
Yes.
Do you think that shuttles for like kids to also like who are voting age to also get to like polling places and stuff? Because I know that that was also an issue too with like registering to vote and like actually voting.
Is it possible? Maybe. I would say I wouldn't make any promises due to the time and the locations. That's always barrier. Things are barriers to certain streets. Um, buses mainly designed always to be able to put the vehicle in the safest place and to be able to accommodate ADA if need be. So if there are some voting locations or some polls locations and things like that that might be challenging, we possibly can see how we can possibly get people close to it, if not at that direct location.
Yeah.
But it also depends on, traffic, time, and specifically where the location is. But that's a great question. All you guys had some great feedback.
Earlier, I just wanted to say, I know you asked the question, why do some people not use the bus? And although a lot of my friends and me, we all use the bus regularly. The people who I know that don't use the bus, it's mainly because kind of like really what Vincent said, the bus is like too far from their house, or it's like a long walk to the actual bus stop. So I really do think that if we expanded the lines into areas where branching off of main streets, that could help a lot. And kind of going back to another place the bus could stop, I'm not entirely sure if the bus stops on the other side of the school, like kind of by the field. But if it doesn't, maybe we could expand to stop there, because I do know a lot of people that that's where the football games are. And people who want to take the bus, they can use that to access the football games.
Nice. Thank you. This is great.
Sorry, you said, I think I remember a question you asked earlier was, how could we get word of BCT out there? Just to name a couple, I would say putting it through RUTV is just a simple answer. Some of us could reach out to the RUTV members and, put a good word in. Other than that, I mean, you could try our High Tide newspaper. I mean, again, these are just lists for like the school. Or not, or maybe just some local newspapers for, just the city of Redondo in general.
Yes. The next slide, the next two slides. Next one, please. Thank you. So here are our contacts. This is our phone number here. We also have bct@redondo.org. If there's any emails or anything that you want to leave, you have some concerns. If you guys think about something after tonight, feel free to reach us here. From the last time there was a switch for you guys, we had X, but we left that in now. Because of your voice and your feedback, we switched from X to Instagram. So that's also, we have Redondo Beach BCT on Instagram. So if there's anything that you guys want to share, any ideas, anything that you can think about tonight, you talk to your friends, please share the word. I hope they're watching. Please contact us. We're always open. We're here for you. We will definitely be back and support you in any means necessary. And we're definitely going to try our best to make sure that these things get looked at, evaluated, and be able to move forward. So we thank you guys for your time. Is there anything else?
Can I add something?
Yes.
So sometimes we'll hear complaints that our buses run late. We want to hear that. That phone number up there is actually the best way to contact us. Get the bus number, the time, and report it to us, because we hear it word to mouth, but it's better for us to have those metrics as we move on. So we really want to improve our service for you guys, definitely improve the GTFS signal for you guys, so that way it becomes much more reliable and we improve our on-time performance.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Vice Chair, if there's no other questions or comments, I just want to make sure that we do public comment, see if there's anyone that'd like to address the commission on this item.
Yeah, is there anyone in the audience or online?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting.
Hi, my name is Julian Paulson, and I don't know if you guys know this, but for the bus on the way home, for me, for RUHS, I live in North Redondo, there is an express line and a normal line, and the normal line takes you down Artesia and around the Galleria, whereas the express line is a more straight shot towards my house, but they don't have the same thing going the other way. So in the mornings, I'd have to wake up like an hour earlier just to be able to avoid going all the way around towards South Bay Galleria and back. And so I was wondering, like, why does it not go both ways? Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other questions or comments? Okay, go on.
Hi, my name is Jake Villalobos. I'm curious how you guys incentivize bus drivers being on time, because when I was younger, like freshman year, sophomore year, that's a really big challenge that I faced, was not being able to get to school on time because these buses that would be showing up wouldn't show up, or they would be like 20 or 30 minutes late. So I'm just curious to see, like, is it just like, is there like a punishment based or like reward based incentives, and how are you guys working towards changing that? That's all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Kelly, while we have public comment up, can we ask them questions about their experience with Beats TT, or is it?
Of the speaker? You can, but if one person asks a question, then everyone else has to have an opportunity to do that. So it's totally fine to do if you would like to. Yeah. Okay, is there any other public comment? Okay, so I'll turn it back over to the Vice Chair if you'd like to ask staff to address the questions, or we can move on to a motion. It's up to you.
Yeah, you can address those two questions.
Okay.
Thank you. So, first question from, how do you pronounce your name again? I'm sorry. Julian. So Julian asked about why the service doesn't go both ways. So that's, and Brian talked about it earlier, it's more so the trippers. It's tripper time to, the purpose is to be able to get you guys to school as safely and fast as possible, as quick as possible. So with that, the challenge that we have is not possibly having enough fleet to do so, and the scheduling of service. The scheduling of service during the time to be able to accommodate, getting students to and from. We do understand that there's challenges in, being able to operate that, be able to do it both ways, but fleet and the time of the schedule is a little challenging. The other question was as far as incentives, right? So with the incentive program, basically we're the city, right? And we have a contract with a company called Transportation Concepts. Transportation Concepts, they handle and drive the buses and the service. So based off the incentives will be an in-house thing with them. We manage the contract. So if they have an incentive program, that's something that they form amongst themselves to be able to do so. And that being determined based off of what we call on-time performance, and understand that there's challenges, construction and things like that, that the service has to go through from one end to the next. But that's a system that they build in-house and that we're looking into to make sure that these things and these drivers that is performing on levels above standard, that they are recognized.
Can I also add, we actually work very closely with these operators, and one of their incentives is giving them employee appreciation days. Transit Day is coming up in a couple weeks here, so they're looking to do like a barbecue with their improved on-time performance. So those are the little things, just treating them like humans and making sure that they feel seen as operators. They drive buses all day long, and they take folks from point A to point B safely. So that little incentive goes really far.
And the last what you said, our experience with.
I was referring to their experience on the bus.
Oh, okay. How is your experience on the bus?
Generally, when it's on time and whatnot, like I'm able to get when the experience itself isn't bad. It's just that question.
Yeah. If Thank you.
Generally, when I'm able to get from point A to point B on time, the experience itself isn't bad. It's just that question of reliability. It's like, do I really want to take a risk? Is this something worth taking a risk for? Like, if I have to be here at this time, do I really want to use the bus as my set of transportation? Because, you know, there's consequences for me, and that's something that's more out of my control than I'd like, then I'm not going to be taking that risk, and I'm not going to like take the bus. So when it's like something that isn't as important, like maybe I just want to go grab a bite, or you know, I just want to go somewhere, and there's no like time constraint, then of course I take the bus. I think it's fine. The experience itself is great, but it's just that question of reliability that really like pushes me away from using the bus more. Yeah.
Okay, are there any other public comments? Okay. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chair or Vice Chair, if you'd like to make a motion to receive and file, or again, like on the last item, if there's additional information or supplemental presentations you'd like to request, you can do so tonight as well.
Are there any additional information that anyone would like to request? Okay, then thank you guys for your presentation. Really appreciated it. And motion to receive and file.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So now the staff liaison report, J3.
Yeah, I just have one very brief item for you this evening. There is a flyer that we put on the dais for you. There is a writing competition that has a scholarship attached to it through the California State Court system. And so just wanted to provide that opportunity for you. Please feel free, take the flyer, share it widely. We really hope that all of you will have an opportunity to participate. I have heard through the grapevine that a Redondo Beach resident did win the top prize last year. So really exciting. We'd like to keep the momentum going with the community. So again, just sharing with you as an opportunity, especially for those that may be getting ready to start looking at college applications and the scholarships for those. So that concludes my liaison report.
Thank you so much. We'll need that. And then is there any other future items that commissioners want to bring up for meetings or anything on your mind? Okay, then we can move to adjourn this meeting. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys.